Hi, and welcome back. This is week 2, video number 5. Quite a few video chunks this week. In this video chunk, we're going to take a look at how to find academic journal articles. So if you remember way back to the first video, remember I said that those academic journal articles are the actual medical articles that are published in those things like magazines. So they're highly specialized. They're meant entirely for healthcare professionals. And unfortunately, they take a little more skill to find than using the films on demand or the ebooks. So I'm going to bring you through the search methodology so that you can get started and start looking at those medical articles right away. So again, I'm going to start here from the library's main page, and I'm going to click on databases. And I'm going to go to view A to Z databases list again. I'm still going to go to E, but this time I'm going to pick a different database. I'm going to go down and I'm going to pick this here, EBSCO All Databases. And when I do that, it's going to ask me, am I looking, what interface do I want to use? What I always want to use is EBSCO Host Web. And then I end up with a list of a whole bunch of different sub databases, okay? Because EBSCO is like a big super database, and within it, there are all sorts of different smaller databases. What I want to do here is I want to tell the computer which specific sub databases I want to use for my searching. And to do that, I'm going to go to the handout that I've given you in the week number 2 folder, which goes through a list of databases for healthcare students. So there's some general medical databases that are always good, okay, to search for medical information. There's CINAHL Plus with full text. There's something called Health Source Nursing Academic Edition. And then the big one, which is called Medline with full text. At a minimum, these are the ones that I want to search, okay? There are other optional databases that I might want to use depending on what type of information I'm looking for. There is a database called Alt Health Watch, and this deals with alternative medicine and wellness. There's another sub-database called APA Psych Articles, and this deals with psychological or psychiatric conditions. So if I were looking at a psychological or a psychiatric condition, I definitely would want to include that one. There's another one called Sports Discuss with full text. Sports Discuss deals with sports medicine, physiotherapy, rehabilitation. Depending again on what I'm looking for, that might be one to include. And also, because I know not all of you are in the same program, some of you are looking towards the future, and I know some students in one section indicated that they were interested in dental hygiene. There is a specific dental database, which is called Dentistry and Oral Sciences Source. All of these are listed. If I go back, okay, to this screen where I'm in the big EBSCO doing my searches, all of these are listed, okay, in the sub databases, but they're not automatically clicked off. So what I want to do, first of all, okay, is I want to just click select all, and then I want to deselect, okay, so that I end up with kind of a blank canvas here. And then I want to go in, and depending on my situation, I want to click off, just as I'm doing now, the various sub databases that I want to use to find information. So I'm going to pick all of the ones that I've listed here. CINAHL Plus with full text. You can see the names of the others, right? Why I'm leaving them out. We don't need the computer one. I'll take Dentistry and Oral Sciences Source. I'll go down and I will pick Health Source Nursing Academic Edition. I will also pick Medline with full text. And I will put in Sports Discuss with full text. So by doing this, I've told the computer when I'm doing my searching, I want to search across all of these sub databases at once. And I'm going to click continue, and I'm going to end up on a search screen. Okay. The search screen is pretty basic looking, but it really is amazing what you can do with this. So I'm just going to do a quick search, and I'm going to type in the word cancer. And I'm not going to use any of these limiters quite yet. Okay, I just want you to see what happens if you just throw in one search term. I click search, and I end up with 3 million, over 3 million hits on the word cancer. So this is pretty astounding, okay? Maybe to those of you that are on the younger side, you're used to being able to access a lot of information, but for moldy oldie people like me, this is incredible. I literally cannot believe that you can get over 3 million articles on cancer right at your fingertips. Okay? Obviously, though, you're not going to be able to read 3 million articles, not even going to be able to read the titles of 3 million articles. So we are going to have to talk about some search strategies when we're going through this information. But again, I just wanted to impress on you the vast amount of information that's available for you. So I'm going to go back, and I'm back on the search screen here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a search, but I'm going to use some limiting so that I can try to control the amount of information that I'm getting. So the first thing I'll do, I'll use that search term cancer again, but I want to tell the computer what type of cancer it is that I'm interested in looking at. So I'll type in breast because I'm interested in breast cancer. And then I'm going to go down here, and I'm also going to do some other really important things, okay, to limit my results. The first thing I want to do is I want to click off full text, so that I'm telling the computer I only want to get results back where I can get the PDF or the actual file of the article right away. Okay? If I want to be extra careful, I can click off scholarly peer-reviewed journals as well, so that I'm sure that everything that I'm looking at has gone through that really important process of peer review that we talked about. There's other limiters, all sorts of other limiters that you can play with. Okay, I'm just going to run a search though, okay, with these limiters that I put in, and we'll see what we end up with. So we started at 3 million. We're now down to just over 100,000. Okay, so much more manageable. You're still not going to be able to get through all of that information. So I probably want to add in more limiters. So maybe I'm interested in breast cancer in Canada. Type that in. Now I'm down to just under 5,000. I want to think, as I'm doing my research, of creative ways to limit the information. Okay. The fewer results I get, the easier it's going to be for me to go through and find those articles that work for me. I also probably want to limit according to publication date. So if you look over here on the side, okay, where all the limiters are, you can see that I'm getting results from 1965 through to 2021. Okay. I don't really want to know what people had to say about breast cancer in 1965, okay, because the world has changed a lot and medical treatment has changed a lot since that time. So I'm just going to use the slider, and I'm going to tell the computer, hey, I'm only interested, I'm going to pick, say, a 10-year span. I'm only interested in what's been published between 2011 and 2021. And I do an update. And I've limited some, still got a lot, okay, of hits, right? But I've limited, okay, which is, again, going to help me be able to get through all sorts of different information. It's also important to note that some professors will tell you that they only want you to use research within a particular time period. So some of them have a 5-year rule, some of them have a 10-year rule. Okay, each individual professor sort of has a different opinion, both based on what they're teaching, but based on their own sort of philosophy about currency of information. So always important to ask, okay, if you're given a research task, ask that specific professor, do you have a limit on the dates, okay, at which, you know, we're able to work within to find research material. If I take a look at the results, the first test that I want to go through, I'm going to take a look here, is to make sure that I can read and understand the title. Remember when we were talking about journal articles in the first video, I said that some of them can be highly, highly specialized. Some of these articles are written for people with decades and decades of experience in the very specific area, say, of breast cancer or of diabetes or of whatever search term it is that you're looking for. That may not necessarily be appropriate for you at this stage in your level of understanding. So your first test is to read the title, okay, to make sure that you're able to read and understand the title. Okay, very simple test. And if I take a look, right, these don't look too bad. Okay, but then, whoa, I end up, okay, with one that looks a little scary, right? So I can tell from the title, this is out of my depth. Okay, if I can't read and understand the title very easily, I'm going to have a lot of difficulty reading and understanding the actual article. But if we take a look, let's see here. There was one that came up. Yeah, understanding health anxiety following breast cancer diagnosis. I can read and understand all of those words in the title. So this might be a good choice, right, for me to take a look at. Before I commit to actually pulling and reading the article, though, I'm going to do another test. I'm just going to click on the title, and this is just going to give me information about the article. And I'm going to look down for something called the abstract. And the abstract is just a short little paragraph that summarizes the content of the full article. This is going to be my next test. So I'm going to read through the abstract, and I'm going to make sure that I can read and understand it. Because again, if I can read and understand the summary, my chances are pretty good that I'm not going to end up with something that's frustrating if I try to read the whole thing. So I read through this and I say, oh, okay, yeah, this looks really good, right? This is something I definitely want to take a look at the larger article. So I'm going to click over here on the side to PDF full text. And I'm going to give it a couple of seconds, and then boom, the actual article itself pops up for me on the screen. Okay, and just like the ebooks, I can scroll through if I want to. Okay, I can also download if I want to, or I can print. Okay, so I actually own this article now. I can download it, save it to my own computer, or I can print it out on paper, whatever I want to do. Okay, so let's just go over all that stuff again really briefly. I'm going to take you out. Just bear with me as I scroll back. And we'll start the process from the actual beginning. I'll go back to the Niagara College Library page, and we'll go through the process again. So I'm going to click on Databases, View A to Z Databases List, E for EBSCO. I'm going to go down, and I'm going to click on EBSCO All Databases. EBSCO Host Web is my interface. I'm going to select and then deselect, and I'm going to go in and tell the computer what sub-databases I want to use. And until I know them off by heart, I'm just going to use that handout that's in the Week 2 folder to make sure that I get them. But eventually, this will become a second nature, and you'll just do it automatically. I'm going to get Health Source Nursing Academic and Medline with full text. So I'll just keep it to that for now. I'll click Continue, and then I'm at the search screen. Okay, so from the search screen, I'm going to search on my topic. So I'll try to think of a new disease. Normally when I'm face-to-face, I ask people to shout out disease names. Let's go for, actually, you know what? Let's try COVID and see what comes up. I'm going to limit to full text. So I'm telling the computer only those articles that I can get right away. I do a search. Okay. And I end up with over 4,000 results on COVID. Okay. Amazing, right? 4,000 results, and COVID hasn't been around for that long. So people are already starting to publish on COVID. I can play with my dates if I want to. Okay, so I could restrict if I want to. This time, though, I'm just going to stay with things as they are. Again, I'm going to go through that test. So I'm going to make sure that I can read and understand the article title. I'm going to click on the title. I'm going to take a look at the abstract. Okay, this one actually doesn't have an abstract. Some of the shorter articles don't. That's only a 5-page article. But let's take a look at one that's maybe a bit longer here. Let's see. Let's take a look at this one. This one, yeah, includes an abstract. So I click on the title. I read the abstract. I say, okay, right? This looks like what I want. Looks like it's going to give me some information that I need here. I click on PDF full text. Give it a second. It pulls up the article. And then once I'm in the article, I can either read on screen, or I can download, or I can print, depending on what it is that I want to do. Okay. I'm going to take you back out now. So that's the basics of how to actually find the articles. I now want to talk about the information that comes with the articles. So I'm going to go back out to my list of hits. And I'm going to pick this one, Home Birth in the Time of COVID. And if I click on the title, it's going to give me information about the article. So that's not only where, okay, you see the abstract, but where you actually get information about the article itself. And this information becomes really valuable because you're going to be using it for what's coming up next week, the APA style that we're going to be talking about. But I'm also going to be asking you on the assignment that you're doing to record some of this information for me. Okay. The author or the authors are listed. Okay, so in this case, we have somebody named Nancy Weiner who has written the article. You also get information about the source. Okay, and the source is the name of the journal that the article was published in. So the name of the article itself is Home Birth in the Time of COVID, but the name of the source that published it is Midwifery Today. Okay. Then I also see some other information here. I know this might be a little small on your screen, but if you take a look, it says Winter 2020, and then in a bracket, there's the number 136, and then a colon, and then the numbers 13 to 18, and then 6P in a bracket. This is information that you need to keep track of for APA, but it basically refers to the actual publication schedule of the article. So this article was published in the Winter 2020 edition of Midwifery Today, okay, which was in volume. Okay, articles have volumes and issue numbers. This is volume 136. There is no issue number for this. And it started on page 13 and it ended on page 18. So it's 6 total pages, the article. Okay. I also want to look to see if I have other information that's important. Okay, and I don't need to worry about all of these different numbers. These are sort of some library numbers, some library stuff. But I do definitely want to take a look at the author and the source. So I'm going to go back out to our results. We'll take a look at another example. Okay, let's take a look at this example here. I'm going to click on this one. Okay. And this has a big long title, Concerns of Healthcare Professionals Managing COVID Patients Under Institutional Isolation During COVID-19 Pandemic in India, a Descriptive Cross-Sectional Study. For this one, I have numerous authors, okay? And the authors are always listed last name, comma, first name. Last name, comma, first name. The source is the Indian Journal of Palliative Care. It was published in 2020. The volume is 26. The page range is 90 to 94. Okay. I also have another number that is important, and this number is called the DOI number. That stands for Direct Object Identifier. And what it is a series of numbers and letters that identify the article. So think of it almost like a UPC code for the specific article. You need to keep track of this number as well because it comes into play with APA. Not all articles have DOIs. So sometimes you'll find an article and they haven't bothered assigning it a DOI number. That's okay, right? If you don't have a DOI, that's fine. If you do have a DOI, make sure you keep track of it. Okay, so note it down or cut and paste so that you actually have the DOI number available. Again, let's take a look at another one here. So we'll pick, I'm getting a lot of the Indian Journal of Palliative Care. They seem to have been publishing a lot. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at this one. So I'm going to click on the title. Okay. So the title of my article is COVID-19, Frontline Experience at a Tertiary Care Hospital in UK. Authors, I have two authors here. Chaudhry, last name, Faisal Bashir, first name. Raza, last name, Samavia, first name. The source, where it's coming from, is the Journal of Global Health. It was published in 2020. It comes from volume 10. Then the other number that's in the bracket is the issue number, issue 1. It started on page 1 and it ended on page 5. I'm going to go down and see if I have a DOI number, and yes, I do. My DOI is right here. Okay, so again, that's something I would want to note down for later because it will come into play when we're doing some APA. Okay, that's the nuts and bolts of finding articles. The real struggle, like I said, is managing the vast amount of information that you're going to get as you're searching those medical articles. So try when you're looking to be as creative as you can with search terms. Be as specific, actually, I should say, as you can with your search terms so that you end up with a manageable number of hits. Before you go on to our next video, please take a few minutes right now, go into the EBSCO host, select the EBSCO host subdatabases, and play around with the system. So again, think of some diseases and things like that that you might look up. See how many hits you end up with. Practice going in and out of articles. Take a look at titles and abstracts and sort of go through the process so that you get more comfortable with using the database system. In our next assignment, I'm going to go through, our next video, I should say, I'm going to go through the details for our assignment. We're going to be using all of the skills that you've just learned. Talk to you soon.